Emmy and Courtney here, and for the month of December, the Sustainable Development Goal is number 13, Climate Action. With us here today to talk about climate action is the director of the Institute for Global Understanding. He's also the inaugural Rechnitz Family and Urban Coast Institute Endowed Chair in Marine and Environmental Law and Policy, and he's also a professor in the Department of Political Science and Sociology at Monmouth University, Professor Randall Abate. Thank you so much for being here with us and allowing us this interview. So our first question to you is, what is climate change?
Thank you very much for having me, Emmy and Courtney. Climate change is a phenomenon where the accumulation of greenhouse gases in the lower atmosphere is causing what's known as the greenhouse effect. It's causing this artificial warming of the planet for the way in which our planet is not able to release, to allow sunlight to be reflected back into space. So it's being trapped by this artificial layer of greenhouse gases that's causing this warming of the planet. And what happens is there's a misunderstanding that the term used to be global warming for this phenomenon, and it's much greater than just the warming of the planet. This warming caused by the greenhouse effect is causing really widespread climate disruption. So there are some aspects where warming is a big problem. We're having severe heat waves throughout the world, but there's also areas that are becoming colder and the ecosystems are being disrupted in other ways. So there's also a problem of increased carbon in the ocean, which is causing ocean acidification, which affects coral reefs and the ability of shellfish to be able to grow their shells. And then there's also issues that climate change is causing increased frequency and intensity of storms like hurricanes. And so climate change is really this comprehensive problem that is very difficult to address compared to other global environmental problems because it affects so many things and it has so many different ways in which it is causing harm. So it's a major threat to legal and social and cultural values that are connected to economic integrity as well. So it's really the challenge of our era.
Thank you, Professor, for that. So our second question for you is, what is climate action?
So climate action is a way that our society is trying to respond to the threat that climate change is posing, and that can take many forms. So one form, and one that isn't happening well enough, is through legislative action. So statutes, for instance, at the federal level that would require countries to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions that are contributing to climate change, and also to implement measures to help adapt to those climate change impacts. So that might be in coastal areas or inland where there are, drought and flooding issues or wildfire problems. There are lots of ways the law can facilitate adaptation, just like the laws can also help require mitigation of climate change by reducing those greenhouse gases. So at a more grassroots level, climate action is about mobilizing the public to do everything they can and not just wait for politicians and governments to act, but really all of us contribute to the problem of global climate change, and therefore all of us can be effective contributors to the response. And so this is a wide range of individual action that can be addressed, such as what transportation options we choose. Driving an electric car versus an SUV is a significant overall personal impact on the problem. And likewise, food choices. Our significant meat-based diet in the US and around the world is a significant contributor to climate change as well when we think about the methane that's released from factory farms as a significant greenhouse gas.
Thank you so much. For our third question, to mobilizing climate action, what can Monmouth University faculty, staff, students, or even the community do to help with climate change?
So I think the best way a university can be part of the solution to climate change is through education. And so I think Monmouth has done a great job in mobilizing discussions around climate change. We've had 2 years in a row now of major climate crisis teach-in discussions on our campus. And that was a great way of having an interdisciplinary discussion around climate change, how it affects so many different ways in which we engage in society, how many different fields are relevant to climate action, such as business and psychology and science and political science, social work. And then also, we are a significant institution. And so as a university with student population of 5,000 or more, we have a major carbon footprint. And so there are ways in which the university can transition to sustainable ways of conducting its business, more sustainable ways than it's currently doing. And there are ways for students to be involved in facilitating that transition, one of which is currently underway, and that is an effort to seek to have the university divest from its engagement, its investment in fossil fuel related businesses in its portfolio of investments. So I think there's just a variety of ways, and student organizations are quite active in the community. So we have organizations that I advise, for instance, the Youth Activists and the Sustainability Club, and certainly now with the new relaunched IGU working as Emmy and Courtney are around the Sustainable Development Goals that the UN have put out. There's now talk of having different departments get around one of those goals as a way that they conduct their efforts in addressing this shared problem and effort we should be undertaking as a university.
Thank you so much for that, Professor Abate, and thank you for your time and all this pertinent information. We hope that the viewers have learned and that together we can all come and combat climate change.